We are backstage, DC101-derland at the Anthem with the Struts. Welcome back to DC, gentlemen.
Hi.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
We'll start here because it's an important, it's a time-sensitive, and it's a current events question for you guys. Is it coming home?
Hope so.
Yeah, we're forever optimistic. I think we've got a pretty tricky fixture, but yes, it's coming home.
Okay, and here's the thing. By the time people get to watch this, the match will probably have already taken place. And for people who don't know, this is World Cup time. It is France versus England, quarterfinals. And it's a tough matchup. So that's why I asked the question. And now you're throwing out, Jed, that you think it's coming home. And now when somebody watches this, they're going to go,
like,
man,
you
Jed
bloody
was
idiot.
way off the rails on that one. But you really think that you think that this is a good opportunity?
I think we're all still hurting from the Euros as
Yes,
well.
because we thought it was coming home then.
Yeah.
It's ever so close to coming home.
There was some trafficking, supply chain issues that created.
I actually haven't been able to watch a game, but I know the other three have. And France, obviously, is one of the top teams.
A difficult opponent.
Also, judging by the game against USA, I just don't know that it's our time, because we were pants. I was waiting for that to be the time that all the Americans were like, wow, soccer is amazing. And it was like, and so many people tuned in, and people were like, finally, this is it. And we all live in the States, and I was super excited for like real football, soccer to blow up here. But then that,
you got that little dig in.
but that one game was so rubbish. It was so boring.
But that's the worst game they played. They've been running over everybody else.
It's true,
so,
it's true.
Yeah.
We'll
But
see,
England are like that, though. Like every tournament, we've never been the most consistent team. No matter how great a team that we've had on paper can be, it's like sometimes it doesn't gel and
it's always a tease.
Whatnot. Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to get my hopes up this time. And then 2 matches in, I think this. Oh no, I'm not.
Yeah.
We always beat the teams we should beat, and then always lose to the teams that we need to beat.
So you'll get to the final and lose to Morocco, is what you're saying. That's what's going to happen.
Morocco find themselves in the final, then this year got a whole lot weirder. But here we go.
So December 7th, 2016, you guys were at the DC101 studio playing an internal office party for us. So today is December 7th, so now I'm thinking to myself, so the Struts and Roche just hang out on December 7th. That's kind of our thing. Every December 7th, we make sure we're together in a room together. And
it's a national holiday, isn't it?
It really, well, it's not. So Jed is British, so I will say it's not a national holiday. This is the Pearl Harbor Day. So this is when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor.
I've actually been watching like a series on Netflix called "It's Pearl Harbor Minute by Minute." Not to get too somber, but
no,
it's fascinating.
it's awesome.
The amount of like how it even came about and stuff is it's a great watch.
All of their historical documentaries are fantastic. They're really good.
It's really good, minute by minute.
Watch it.
As far as our personal diaries go for the friendship for these gentlemen on here couches, it's our little holiday.
Did you see how Jed had to walk back the national holiday thing?
Yeah, right.
It was well done. You did that very, very nicely.
Thank you, sir.
And then, of course, and you brought it up, we actually were in Fairfax, Virginia, Eagle Bank Arena, where you guys were playing a holiday show at DC 101. So it really is like December is the month that DC 101 and the Struts kind of get together and say, okay, how you been? How you been? All right, I'll see you in a couple of years in December. It's nice.
Meet up in the cold.
Exactly. So the new single is Falling With Me, and as I've had a chance to listen to it and kind of absorb it, I think to myself, it's getting harder and harder to classify the Struts musically. And some bands are like, oh, we have a signature sound, and this is what we like to stay true to. And I feel like you guys are getting to the point where there's no longer okay, the Struts, and this is what they sound like. Is it intentional? Are you glad that it's happening? Is it fun for you to see where else you guys can go musically?
Yeah, I think we kind of fell into that evolution, if you want to call it that, because we did start writing at the beginning of the year, like in February, and we kind of felt ourselves just in many ways repeating ourselves. And Falling With Me was actually a song that was just kind of like on the shelf and was like in a really early demo format. But Adam went back and played like a whole bunch of guitars to it, and it'd been tracked already by Jed and Geth. But once it just had been given a bit of TLC, it was suddenly like, okay, what we've been doing is like fine, but actually this is really interesting. Maybe this has been sort of under our noses and a direction that we should be going down. And we've been using that song in many ways as kind of like a nucleus or like a reference point to where we want to go. But I'm really happy to hear you say that we're sort of not confined to a particular sound, because we've been doing this a while now. And
but you are at the age now where you did have a sound, and that was great because you want to be able to listen to a song and go, oh, that's the Struts. But you guys are probably, I don't know if you're feeling it, at the kind of the lifespan of a band where it's like, okay, now people know us. Now let's give them something a little bit different, and then trying to challenge our fans and music listeners to go, okay, well, do you like us when we do this, or we're in this lane?
Yeah. No, you hit the nail right on the head, and it's like in a certain genre of music, let's call it like rock, anthemic rock, throwback rock, whatever you want to call it. We absolutely have nothing to prove. You know, we can go out on any festival, do a 45-minute set, and it's just one great, fantastic sing-along song after the next.
That's so cocky, but you're absolutely right. When you get to the point, you go, you know what? We've blown up the stage so many times. We know we can do it, and this is what we're going to do.
I think as well, we're working on the 4th album, and when I was listening to a lot of the previous 3 before starting like this next record, and yeah, it's kind of like, wow, we've really sort of achieved a lot when it comes to, like I said, this kind of certain area of rock music. So I think it's time that we do move on, and I think the goal is to dip our toes into slightly different feels and genres and areas that we haven't gone into, but absolutely like nail them, like some of our heroes have. I mean, it would be great to have like 6 songs which are as big and successful as like Could Have Been Me and Kiss This, but you can't keep trying to like rip yourself off. You have to like move into a different direction and create something that has real quality to it, you know. And I think that's how great bands last and they evolve, and their fans evolve with them, you know.
I love that you mentioned the difference and the genres and the challenging, because one of the things I wanted to ask you guys is you've had the opportunity in a very short amount of time to work with a very eclectic group of artists. Kesha, Paris Jackson, Albert Hammond Jr. Who's been your favorite to work with? So now I'm asking you to choose your favorite. Who's your favorite collab? And how do you guys fall into these different collaborations? Because it's not something that bands typically do. Solo artists usually can collab together, but you don't often see a band going, we're going to collab with this one artist.
Well, I mean, just to explain the reason, the method behind the madness, so to speak, with the collaborations is that, well, at the time, like 2-3 years ago, especially when we did the collaboration with Kesha, it's only really been a good time to be in a rock band in the last kind of like 2 years or so, or 3 years, with the rise of like some really fantastic young groups like Maneskin and Greta Van Fleet, people like Youngblood, who are all kind of singing off this rock like hymn sheet, and I think we were kind of like, well, what's our genre missing? And I think what our genre was missing at the time was like groups to actually sort of look around and say like, well, all these pop stars and solo artists can sort of like reach out to one another and enjoy collaborations. Like, why can't rock music do that? Look at rap music. It's the biggest like export out of America, like since Coca-Cola, you know, and
it's all collabs.
And it's all collabs, you know, and like I said, the most successful pop artists will collab. So we were just kind of like exploring and pushing boundaries, which is something that we've always wanted to do, whether it's the way that we sound or the way that we approach our work. We don't want to sort of, sound like a group that's like straight out of 1976, and that also applies itself to how we kind of like present ourselves as well. But I think Kesha was an amazing collaboration. That was really, really great, and it was a pleasure to kind of like get to know her, and like we're all still really cool with her now. I was hanging out a lot with her in London doing the Taylor Hawkins tribute show at Wembley, and so that's been really good. Tom Morello was really fun. Of course, the Def Leppard was...
Yeah, the Joe Elliott thing.
Yeah, that was, because Joe especially, I mean, Phil's also been a fan, but Joe has really been singing our praises from day one, like since we came over here in 2015. So to finally do something with him, I think, was a long overdue.
I think all of the collabs we've done, we've been ultimately huge fans of the artists, and we've been flattered that they too are fans of us. And some of them are real like pinch me moments. You're kind of like, these guys are like, well, yeah, they're champions of our band, and they wanna work with us and make some art together. So, yeah, every single one of them has been pretty amazing for us, really.
It's got to be great when you're in the studio and you're recording or you're doing something and somebody has an idea and maybe the other artist has an idea and you guys are on one side of the fence and you guys can just say, well, it's a democracy, so we're in favor, so it's 4-1. Okay, so we're going to do it this way then. We'll go this way. It's nice. We have a band concept.
There's a great video. I don't know if the video's out, of you tracking with Kesha. And it's Luke and Kesha just vibing in the same studio booth, bouncing ideas around. It was really cool.
So nothing done, just kind of, what do you have, what do I have, we're going back and forth?
Yeah,
the song was done, right? But you guys were kind of riffing which bits, who wanted to sing which part. And
yeah, I think that's as far as the, quote, creative collaboration has gone as of yet. For the most part, we've always had the song like 95% done. And we've sort of like approached people and said like, hey, do you
get us over the line?
Do you want to put your own kind of like thing on this and whatnot? And with the vocalists, it's kind of like really interesting for me personally because like Paris, for instance, there was a couple of things that she did which were like totally unique to like how she was approaching like the takes. And at first I was like, is that right? And then now I can't like unhear these little things. Same with everyone, like Strange Days with Robbie Williams.
One of my favorite artists of all time, by the way.
Yeah, and he was really fun. We actually cut the vocal on his porch or his doorstep in his Beverly Hills mansion during COVID, and it was such a bizarre experience. I had John Levine, who produced the album, running the session on his laptop in a parked car outside of Robbie Williams' house.
this isn't like the peak of COVID.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This isn't
So
like
he's mixing it from his car?
from his car
this isn't like
with the headphones
April,
on,
yeah,
and then we
April
had these
to-
cables running up the stairs, and then we had like 2 microphones set up and headphones, and a huge amount of the vocals that you hear on the end song was me and him literally singing on the doorstep.
And so Robbie's on one side of the door and you're on the other side of the door.
No, we were both.
Oh,
on
you're
the
both
doorstep.
together.
We were just a little bit further apart, social distance, of course.
Of course.
But there's even Bird's song at the start of the song that you can hear, and that's because it was recorded outside.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So I got to go back and listen to it now on headphones. Yeah.
Everyone go back and listen to it right now. Let's get those numbers up, shall we?
Look, we can talk about this all day, but you guys, you promised you could do a 45-minute set and compete with any band. So it's almost time for you to do that here at DC Wonderland.
is.
So
Excited.
thank you guys so much for coming and hanging with us. As you usually do, like the World Cup, every 4 years, we need to get together and do something in December.
December 7th, my
Let's do
dude.
it.
We're there.
The Struts, thank you guys very much.
Thank you, mate. Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
guys.